Well, hello, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2019, and this is the Daily Bible Podcast. Some of you may have been wondering, where has this show been? Well, to be honest, it's kind of been on a little bit of a hiatus. I had a lot going on, so my apologies to all of you. But here we are. It's a new year. It's a new beginning, so to speak, and the show is back. And it's back forever, pretty much. But we're going to start where we left off. We're going to look at Matthew chapter 18, verses 15 and 16 today. So again, that's Matthew chapter 18, verses 15 through 16. Those verses say, "If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. If he listens to you, you have gained your brother. But if he does not listen, take one or two others along with you, that every word may be confirmed by the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses." So pretty interesting. Here Jesus is talking about, he's giving the disciples guidelines, if you will, on church discipline. And it's something that we can live out in our own lives as well. So church discipline is obviously a very serious matter. It's a serious matter for leaders. It's a serious topic for all church members, really. And here Jesus kind of gives an outline of a 3-step procedure of sorts, where you address the sin to the person on their own, and then you address the sin in a circle of witnesses. That's where we get the 2 or 3 witnesses. And then lastly, if those first 2 steps don't work, you bring the matter before the church. And this whole time, the emphasis is not about condemnation or anything like that. It's all about reconciliation. We want to reconcile. We want to call that person out of the sin, reconcile them with the whole church. Okay? And so verse 15, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault between you and him alone. I think this part is crucial. Especially in the American church. I think too often we call people out. We have this tendency to call people out in a group of people. We gossip about it instead of confronting them one-on-one. We lose this first step that Jesus has talked to us about. Or we may go on social media and blast it out to social media for the whole world to see. It's not the way to go about it. If someone you know is caught in serious sin, someone is sinning, go to them one-on-one first. Now, someone out there and maybe listening says, didn't Jesus say not to judge? Well, he did. We see that back in Matthew chapter 6, and we covered that. But here Jesus is saying if someone is sinning, we love them enough to confront them on their sin. We use righteous judgment. Jesus tells us to use righteous judgment as well. Okay? Righteous judgment is a key thing. So how about verse 16? What if that person doesn't listen to us? Well, Jesus says, then take 2 or 3 people with you. Now, who are these 2 or 3 people? Well, I mean, it could be a pastor, a priest, it could be a deacon, it could just be another group of believers who's close to this individual. Okay? And the whole point, again, is not to condemn them. It's to reconcile them. We want to reconcile them not only to Christ, but to the life of the church as well. Because sin is, at the center of every sin is I, but that sin also affects the whole community. So that's kind of where Jesus is going with it. That's why he says start off one-on-one, and then gives us different steps from there. So let's kind of do that in our lives as well. Here in 2019, let's get away from the gossip. If someone is sinning, let's talk to them about it. Let's try to help them through it. If they don't want to listen, let's do what Jesus says here. Let's get a couple more people that are close to the individual involved to try to help, kind of like intervention, if you will. So guys, I thank you for your patience while in the show's absence. But again, I thank you for joining me here on the Daily Bible Podcast. I'm excited to be back. Excited to be back with this show. I've got a lot of emails what was gone about how the show was helping people. So here we are, back. We're starting Matthew chapter 18. And tomorrow we'll continue in this in this sequence of events here in Matthew chapter 18 where Jesus is discussing church discipline. God bless you. Happy New Year. Check out my website at williamhemsworth.com. God bless you guys. God love you.